Hi, welcome back to geometry. In the last lesson, you found the area of parallelograms and rectangles and triangles. And those are great shapes to know the areas of. And we're going to use those because in this lesson we're going to learn the areas of trapezoids, kites, and rhombuses. And we're going to start with this lovely trapezoid here. And we're going to break it apart and put it back together so that it is either a parallelogram, rectangle, or, well, we're not going to break this into triangle. We might subdivide it into triangles, but let's see how we can find the area of this trapezoid. So here I have a trapezoid. This trapezoid is marked with 2 inches, 4 inches, and a height of 2.5 inches. And this is drawn to a scale factor of 1. So the question is, how can we find the area of this trapezoid? Well, there's an interesting thing about trapezoids, which is if you can cut them exactly in half. So in other words, if this height is 2.5, I'm going to cut that exactly in half. And the way that I'm going to cut it in half is I'm going to mark the midpoints of these sides. So, let me use this is a geometry tool called a compass, and I'm going to use it to find the middle. You guys will learn to do this later, but no harm in seeing it now. So, if I can find the middle of this side, which I can because I know smart tricks about geometry, then I find the middle of the other side too. Okay, so if I cut this triangle in half, right along its height, then I can rearrange it to look like a parallelogram. Hold on, let me knock this out of here. And I'll cut it in half. So let's think for a minute. If this height was 2.5, now what is each resulting height going to be? Well, it's going to be exactly half. So this is going to be 1.25, and this is going to be 1.25. So now our height has been divided by 2. And when I pull this apart, a neat thing happens. If I flip it over, and I put these two sides together, you'll notice that it forms a parallelogram. So this the top and bottom are parallel, the sides are parallel. That makes a parallelogram right there for us. And we know the area of a parallelogram is just base times height. And now our height was, for this case, our height from the original triangle is now 1/2 of what it was. It's 1/2 of the height of the original trapezoid. And our base is actually going to be what was 2 and 4 have now been combined together. My 2 and my 4 have been combined together. So my base is actually 2. Base equals 2 plus 4, which is 6. So the way to find, in other words, the area of a trapezoid is to do 1/2 times the height of the trapezoid times, and we call this one on the, there's two, it's kind of like these together become our base, so we talk about them as being base 1 and base 2. So we'll call this base 1 and we'll call this base 2. So my area of the trapezoid is going to be 1/2 of base 1 plus base 2. That is the formula for the area of a trapezoid. All right. And of course, as you practice these, they are going to, so there's my original trapezoid again. They're going to try to trick you, but you can't really be too tricky with these. You could take this trapezoid and you could turn it at different angles. But the bases are parallel. So no matter which way you turn it, the base, we always think of the base as being like the bottom, but in this case the base isn't really the bottom. It's just that the base is, the two bases are the sides that are parallel to each other, and the two sides that are not parallel to each other are the sides. So no matter which way you turn it, those parallel sides, those are your bases. And if you don't get tricked by having one of these things turned, then you won't get tricked. Let's look at another trapezoid. So another thing that might happen is you might get a trapezoid where you aren't given the height. You have to use something you know to find the height. So here's an example. This is a trapezoid because these two sides are parallel. And this corner happens to be a right angle. And this corner happens to be 60 degrees. And if I tell you that this is 10 and this is 12, that's all you need. You should be able to figure out the height of this trapezoid from just that information. How? Well, if you know that this is a 90-degree angle here, then we could draw another line straight down here at a 90-degree angle. Then you can see we've divided this side of 12 into 10, and over here we just have 2 left. And this triangle that we've made on the left is a 60 degrees, 90 degrees, which means this has to be 30. So it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So your knowledge of special right triangles comes into play. If this is 2, then 30, 60, 90, we've got the short leg, we've got the hypotenuse, which is 2 short legs, and we have the long leg, which is square root of 3 times the short leg. So in other words, the height of this triangle is going to be 2 times the square root of 3. So you might get a trick like that. And then, in order to find the area, remember area of a trapezoid is 1/2 of the height times base 1 plus base 2. And we didn't know the height. We had to do a little bit of work to figure that out. So it's kind of like a puzzle. You know a lot of things. And you can use those things to help you out. And you might have to think carefully to figure out which one of those things you need to use. So in this case, our height is 1/2 times 2 times the square root of 3 times 10 plus 12. In other words, 1/2 times 2 times the square root of 3 is just the square root of 3, because the 2 and the 1/2 cancel each other out, and 10 plus 12 is 22, and we usually write it the other way, so 22 square root of 3 would be the area of this trapezoid. So watch out for tricks. You have a lot of tools in your bag at this point. You know some trigonometry, you know special right triangles. Special right triangles come back a lot. They're worth knowing. And standardized tests really like them. So watch out for those. If you see a 45-degree angle or a 60-degree angle, you might be working with a special right triangle. If it seems like there's a piece of information missing, it's probably that you need to carefully look through your bag of tools and figure out how you can find that missing piece of information. Okay, on the next slide there's some trapezoids for you to figure out. The area of, good luck with those, and then we will look at kites.